Hi, for this tutorial, I'm going to explain about the layouts of DAW, Digital Audio Workstation, and I'm going to use Pro Tools for this explanation. But if you want to use Logic Pro X, Adobe Audition, Reaper, or probably Studio One, it's going to be fine because what I'm going to explain is the setup and how to record a track, an audio track. And basically all of the audio software is going to have the same aspect and the same settings. So for the first time you open Pro Tools or any other software, it's going to have a dashboard like this one. It's got a name for the session or a project. It depends on which software that you use. If you use Studio One or Logic Pro X, that's mostly for music. It's going to have a name like new songs or new music. But for this one, it's going to be name. Let's type it test, and then there is a template for each project, for music, for post-production, and so on. And then there is this options for file type, sample rate, bit depth, and I/O settings. For the file type, choose the WAV files because that's the highest quality of an audio. Don't choose MP3 or any other stuff. And for the sample rate and bit depth, it's usually going to be 48 kilohertz and 24 bit for visual related projects. So if you're using some video or some motion graphic for your project, at least you need to set the sample rate and the bit depth into 48 kilohertz and 24 bit. Because if you choose 44.1 like this one for the sample rate, it's going to have a little bit of problem. It's some kind of hiccup along the way. Let's say for example you already in the 2 minutes and 3 minutes time. Usually it's going to have a little bit of a delay in the visual or in the audio aspect, so be careful with it. Set the sample rate and the bit depth into the standards for visual related projects. And then after that, just choose the location and then click create. This one is the mix window, and this one is the edit window. For the edit window, we usually use it for editing the audio tracks or audio files that we use for this project. Uh, there's this click files, a click track. This is usually used for music. It's a metronome, so I'm going to just delete it. The first thing you want to do when you want to record a track, it's add the track. So you could go to the track menu here along the file edit and view track menus. Choose new. There is a shortcut for it, so if you're using shortcuts, going to be much easier for you. For Windows, it's going to be Control Shift N, but for Mac, it's going to be a little different. Usually, it's Command Shift N. Let's just click this one, and then there's a new pop-up. It says new track, then create. How many tracks that you want? Let's say I want 2 tracks, mono track, because you can actually choose between mono and stereo. If you have surround settings in your software, you could also choose that. It depends on what you're going to do with the audio track. but for now I'm going to choose mono. After I set it to mono, I'm going to choose the audio track, which type of track that I want. I'm going to choose the audio track. And why, if we trace back, why did I choose mono? So basically, mono track is going to be used for dialogue, footsteps, or punch, or probably kick sound, and so on. We only use mono, or we use mono for a sound that's have only one source. So you want to make it go left on just only the left speaker that you can hear that sound. You need to choose it into mono type of format. So basically, if you want the character sounds um, on the left side of the speaker, because on the screen the character is on the left side of the screen, you choose mono, because when you pan it all the way to the left, the sound will only be heard from the left side of the speaker. There's not gonna be a sounds on the right side of the speakers. Well, it's going to be different if you choose stereo. Stereo is usually used for ambience or probably music, non-diegetic. Um, that's because if you pan all the way to the left on the stereo track format, even the sounds already pan into all the way to the left, you're still going to hear a little bit of the sounds on the right speakers. So that's why it's usually used for ambience and music, because in the real world, when you hear an ambience, let's say a park, and the screen shows that the park is on the left side of the screen, uh, if we if we hear it, it's going to be still on the left, but there is going to be a little bit of sound on the right. It's kind of like we're the character. You visualize it, it's going to be like that. So let's say we create two mono tracks, and then we add another one, stereo track, uh, obviously audio track, and then we add another one. This one is kind of special. Some of the software that you use is going to have it automatically. It's usually going to be set a main track or master track and that kind of thing. But for Pro Tools, we need to add it manually. So I'm going to create one stereo track, but it's not going to be audio track. It's going to be master fader. Master fader is one kind of track that we use to adjust all of the audio track that we have. So after you adjust each one of the audio track that you use, if we want to make it all of the audio tracks go lower in volume, we can use the master fader for it, so we don't need to adjust one by one. The MIDI track and the instrument track, it's for music uh, related project, so it's just like that. So let's hit create, and it's going to be like this: audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, and master 1. This track, we need to change the names, because we need to highlight which track that we're going to record and which track are we going to edit and add plugins. If we don't rename it, we don't know which track is which. Let's say audio track 1 is going to be dialogue. Which character is going to have this dialogue? Let's say it's Matt. And well, if you're in film, usually you're going to add let's say scene 1. The next sorry, audio 2, let's say it's going to be a footsteps of Matt on scene 1, like so. Then we can choose this one for ambience. Let's say ambient park. And the last one, sorry, master 1 is going to be changed into master track. Click OK, and we're done. So this is the edit window, and each of the tracks going to have the same sets of buttons. Here you can see it's a track record enable. This one is going to be used to identify which tracks are going to be recorded. So if you want to record a track, you need to click this one first, then click record, and then play. Pro Tools it's just a little different because you need to hit play to be able to record. For Logic Pro X, you only need to click this button, the track record enable, and then click record, and then it's going to be record. Logic Pro X, Studio One, Adobe Audition is going to have the, well, a little different type of buttons. So for Pro Tools, it's going to have track record enable. For Logic Pro X, going to be just record. For Adobe Audition and probably Studio One or probably Reaper is going to have letter R in there. So it's kind of a little different, so don't be surprised for it. This is track input monitor, solo and mute. Basically solo is going to be you're going to only hear this track and all other tracks going to be muted. The mute one is going to be, well, basically the opposite of that. You're only mute for that track and the other track is going to be heard by you. So let's say I'm going to record this. My voice from this mic is going to be entered into the input of this track. So the signal is going to be up and down according to what I say. See, it's just like this. So the next step, you need to hit this button and you want to hit play to start the recording process. Check 1 2 3. This is the session for testing and record an audio, like so. If I want to stop, click this one first, then it's done. So the dialogue is already been recorded, and you could edit the dialogue from this window. So if you want to cut, you can actually separate like so, or let's say you want to drag the sound, the audio clip is going to be on this window. So just remember, if you want to edit an audio track, it's going to be in the edit mode, edit window. So let's see the mix window. This is the mix window, and each of the track that you add is going to be on this mix window as well. Let's say the dialogue that we already recorded, if we play it, it's going to have the signal shown on this window. Let's click this one. Check, check, 1 2 3. This is the session for testing and like so. And the master track is also shown the audio volume for 3 of this track if these 2 also has a signal, an audio clip. This one is the panning button, pan knob. If you want to go to the left, it's going to be only heard on the left side of the speaker, and vice versa for the right. And if you're using stereo track, it's going to have 2 sets of knobs. So you could check 1 2 3. This is the session, the audio volume using this fader. So by using the fader, you can adjust the volume of that track. After you already adjusted all of the tracks, you can adjust the master track to set it into the proper settings for exporting it into the final mix. Always remember
1 2 3.
This is the session set the volume for the master track into this height. So basically near the 0 decibel. I usually set it near the -6 decibels, so I get a little headroom if the sounds are actually peaking. So you could use that method as well. You could add the plugins for the sound effects from this insert. So you can choose plugins like EQ, reverb, delay, harmonics, and so on. So let's say EQ, you can actually set like this one, or let's choose another one, probably this one, like so. You can highlight the bass, or let's say cut the bass frequency or high frequency, and so on. You can add any type of inserts slash plugins from this side of the settings, the menu. For Logic Pro X, Studio One, Reaper is going to be a little different. Logic Pro is going to be the same. Studio One is going to be the same, at least for the inserts and sends, but for the pan, it's going to be different because what the visuals shown on the software is not a knob. It's basically just a line that you can drag to the left or the right. Be careful with that. And for the last one, I'm going to give you how to export the files. Just go to File and click the Bounce to and Disk. this menu is going to make the audio that you already set and mix into one file of an audio. So if you want to, let's say, bounce source, just the WAV files, format, just the interleave, so it's going to be mono and stereo all together. Bit depth and sample rate, just remember it's going to be 48 kilohertz and 24-bit for visual related project. And after that, just click bounce, like so. You could see a different menu. For example, if you choose Studio One, is going to be named Export to Mix Down. If Logic Pro X, it's going to have a name like well, export or bounce. So it depends on which software that you use. It's usually going to be bounce or export. Just remember, it's going to be export to mix down or export session or export or render to disk. If you choose export to stems, it's going to make each of every audio that you use to be a single audio file for each audio track. So just remember, if you use the stems, if you have that menu for your software, you're going to make each audio track have their own audio files. So just remember that. I hope this tutorial is going to be useful for you, and if you have any questions, you can just message me. Thank you and good luck.